Anna, aka Hoopalicious, coming at you with an awesome tutorial for shoulder duckouts. Woo! Yes! Alright, so shoulder duckouts are super awesome. They're a really fun way to add tricks to your body rocking, if you're a body rocker, which I am. And they're just great to play with. The one thing with shoulder duckouts, if you do them in a certain way, you can look very ogreish, kind of like this. And that's why I thought I'd do a tutorial on it, because, you know, they're so cool, and it's a shame when they end up looking like this. And it's like, yeah, it doesn't look so cool. So, not that it's about looking cool, but, you know, it kind of is. All right. So, we're going to do this in a couple different ways. First, I'm going to approach it with how to do shoulder duckouts if you've never done shoulder duckouts, and then I'm going to follow up with some tips on how to make them smoother and more super badass if you're already doing them. So, if you're already doing duckouts, be patient. You know, maybe you'll learn something new anyway, or a new way to teach it to your friends, and follow it all the way through. All right, before we do these super awesome shoulder duckouts, super important to get warmed up properly. You're gonna be throwing your head and neck around, and it's gonna be a little crazy, and your shoulders will be doing all sorts of crazy things, so you wanna make sure that you get some blood flowing in that area first. And it's super simple, super easy. I'm not gonna do the full length of warm up, but I recommend doing this for at least like 5 minutes, you know, minimum 5 minutes. And I'm just gonna roll my head and neck to start. So I'm just gonna drop down and start to roll really gently all the way around. Don't go too fast. This is not the time to be in a rush. It's actually a really good time to just take some deep breaths. Remind yourself that it's just hooping. It's supposed to be fun. Even if you get frustrated, no big deal. So just switch directions here and there. Feel free to hang out on any spot that feels a little extra tight. Yeah, and do that for like 5 minutes. And then the other thing is just rolling the shoulders. I like to alternate them because it feels nice. So you can start rolling to the back and then roll to the front. A little snap, crackle, pop is normal, no big deal. And you can take this to a full arm extension as well if you like. That feels good to you. And then go to the front. All right, that's it. That's our warm up. We're ready for our super fabulous tutorial. So the prerequisite is that you are able to shoulder hoop fluidly on your shoulders. And by fluidly, I mean you should be able to like text your grandma, you know, hey grandma, what's for dinner? While hooping in a stationary position without having to turn. So if this feels like a lot of effort to you, then you should look at my shoulder hooping tutorial and get to this point first and then come back to this one. All right, so the first step, I'm hooping to the left. And so I'm going to start out with directions to the left. I will attempt to demo it to the right, even though my shoulder duckouts aren't super great to the right, but I'll do it anyway, just for you guys, because I love you. Okay, so the first shoulder we're going to come out of onto on the hooping to the left is the left shoulder. So that's the easiest for most people, and by left shoulder I mean that it's going to be on your left shoulder, you'll be ducking to the right. So the first step is we're going to start to turn to the left, because we're hooping to the left, and you're going to look to your right. So the reason why I'm looking to my right is because that's the opening that I'm going to duck into. So in slow motion, if the hoop were to be stationary here, as I see the opening here, that's my cue that I can duck into that opening and the hoop will continue onto my shoulder. So we're doing two things. I'm turning, I'm looking for the opening with my eyeballs to the right side, and I'm feeling the hoop on the left. In a little bit, we'll do this with our eyes closed so we can feel it better. But to start out, it's nice to see the opening there. So looking to my right, feeling the hoop on my left, trying to stay relaxed. What I'm going to do is come all the way around, and we're going to cut for a second because there's a big old truck going by. All right, so we're turning to the left because I'm hooping to the left, and I'm looking for that opening on the right side. So you want to keep your turn all the way around continuously, and really give yourself time to find that opening in a relaxed fashion. So if you're tense, if you're tight, then this isn't going to go as well. All right, so when you feel like you can kind of consistently see that opening come over to your right side, because again, I'm hooping to the left, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause my circle for one kind of beat and duck out to the right, straight to the right, and then I'm going to come back in a turn. So the pause only happens for a moment, and that's so that the hoop can continue rotating around my shoulder. So I'll show you guys that a few times. So notice that I am staying really relaxed in that turn. If you kind of hoop really fast and you get yourself all worked up, then chances are you're not going to have the fluidity to come out and come back in. The other thing to notice is that when I come out, I'm coming out really straight. So you want this position. You don't want to be like this. And this is part of what, makes your duck out a little bit less awkward. Duck outs are awkward kind of anyway. So the best you can do is really try to keep your upper body position really straight. Another thing I like to do just to kind of add a little flair, and this is where we get to our kind of refinement part, is to kind of look to the other side as I come back in. There's a little bit of an over-exaggeration there. Do it again. So whenever you use your head to kind of look in different directions from a dance perspective, it kind of adds a little bit more texture, a little more flavor. So you're not just like, think of just kind of adding a little bit more like lyricism. Okay, so what happens if you can't get out? That's generally a timing issue, so really focus on looking at this spot on the side here if you're hooping to the left, and feeling the hoop on your left side here as your cue that you can do your duck out. If the hoop is flying off of you when you do your duck out, which is probably the most common thing that happens, that's usually as a result of when you're ducking out, you're probably rolling your shoulder forward, and then that makes it so the hoop has no option but to kind of slide forward. So as you come out, you really want to poke that shoulder up towards the sky to give the hoop something really solid to kind of, hinge against there. So I'll just do that a couple more times. Out, back in. And if you're having a hard time with the hoop like wobbling afterwards, if you make sure that when you duck out and you come back in, that you go right back into your turn, that'll help you grab it a little bit better. All right, so that should be enough to kind of get you in your duck outs. The other shoulder is a whole different ball game. Oh, let me see if I can demo this to the right. This is going to be really fun. This will make you guys feel so much better if you're struggling with this at all. All right, so I'm looking to my left now because I'm hooping to the right. And I'm looking for that opening. I'm going to feel the hoop on my right shoulder and out. Back in. Dear God. Actually, it wasn't so bad. Okay. So looking to the left, feeling the hoop on the right, out. Woo, back in. So as you can see, the hoop can go around more than once. That's actually kind of a good practice if you want to practice just like hanging out here. It's not that pretty, but it's good for you. Oftentimes the things that aren't pretty are good for us. Isn't that weird? Yeah, so if you want to just kind of hang out, just to kind of get the shoulder a little more comfortable doing that. I don't really recommend that from like a dance perspective. I don't know if you guys were inspired by how that looks, but I'm not that, it's like, it's kind of ogreish. I don't know. It's not that cute. Okay, so here we go into our tips, our refinement tips section. So if you want to make your duck out super silky and smooth, the key really is to focus on the contact point of your body. And I discovered this kind of just recently in terms of how important it is when I've been practicing the one shoulder to the other shoulder series of duck outs. So just if you're not sure what that is, and I'm still working on them, so it'd be nice. So it's, all right, so I've been working on those a lot, and there'll be a tutorial on that eventually, don't worry. But what's really helped me with that is keeping my focus like a laser point focus on the sensation of the contact point on the body. And I came upon this because I realized, because I was messing it up so much, I was like, what is going on? I realized that my attention span lasted to about here. And then it would go off to something else, usually like, oh, I'm about to mess it up, or what if I mess it up, or whatever. And so then my attention, instead of being on the sensation of the body, was somewhere else. And then, of course, I would lose it, right? And you'd also start to get worried, and that's when you lose it. So this is just like so awesome on so many levels, not only to get the super cool move, but to train yourself how to really stay focused on the moment, because that's what this is really about. So as I go into my duck out, it's the same thing. Even if you're just doing a one shoulder duck out, once you get the timing of it, I'm focusing just on the sensation of the hoop on my shoulder, and then coming back in. So you'll probably find, I don't know if you can even see this, it's very subtle, that your body starts to kind of move against the hoop in a different way because it's feeling that contact point more. If you are in the place of doing the shoulder-to-shoulder duck outs, the key here is to really just, I know it sounds oversimplified, but it's so true, to see how long you can stay focused on the sensation of that one little contact point rolling across your body. So I'm really focusing on, whoop, and that's where my attention span tends to go. Now it's stretched. Now my attention span goes away right around here. But at least I know the path, right? Okay, so that's most of it. Those are all my tips. And there'll be more coming up. If you have questions or comments, or you have something specific you'd like a tutorial on, please feel free to message me. Please subscribe, please share the love, and I'll see you guys around. Go to www.hooprevolution.com if you want to know more about where I'm teaching, about eco hoops, about anything to do with life, pretty much anything at all. Yeah, see you soon.